Hi. Well, thank you very much for joining this mini course that is part of the Onward Hebrew Learning Initiative. I'm Nechama Skolnick-Moskowitz, one of the people behind Onward Hebrew, and will be the person helping you learn what it means to teach sound to print. I do hope you know that Onward Hebrew champions a better learning experience for students in our part-time synagogue settings. So, sound to print is foundational to Onward Hebrew. And what that means is, or what sound to print means, is hearing the sounds of Hebrew before being exposed to print. And by print, we mean the letters of the alphabet and their accompanying vowel signs. If you think about it, sound to print is how we learned our first language. We spent years hearing language, learning what words meant, and how they're pronounced. And we also spent years speaking to others. And most importantly, or perhaps just as importantly, we were exposed to letters and words in our environment. And indeed, if you think about it, many preschoolers can pick out a Cheerios box even though they cannot yet read. Which means that by the time we were ready to read at, let's say, age 5 or 6, or perhaps even 7, we had gained a very rich background in the sounds of our native language. We learned to match the sounds we knew to print. So, for example, a kid looking at the word cat, C-A-T, would go cat, cat. Oh, yeah, I know what a cat is. And they can pronounce it correctly because they have a pattern in their head. Children with this kind of rich language background can match their knowledge of words with what they are later taught about the print system. But here's the point, and here's the issue, that in our part-time synagogue settings, really for decades, we've been teaching print to sound instead of sound to print. And we have, or at least I had assumed for many years, that this was the only way to teach Hebrew. So we look at this and we say to kids, oh, this is the letter mem. So we teach them the print, the name, and we tell them that it has an sound. And then we ask them to sound out words with a mem in it, with other letters that they've learned to sound out, and words that they don't really know. It's not like cat that we had before. And when they look at something like this word, they probably say, oh my God, first of all, it's pretty long looking. And then, wait, is that third letter a bet? Wait, there's no little tail, so maybe it's not. And an ooh and oh, like catch the ball, like there's all kinds of things. It's still print to sound, which again is backwards to the way we normally learn language. And so in the traditional learning system, uh, teachers are taught to have kids sound things out and say things like, oh, I know you can do it, or keep going. But the challenge and the problem is that if the Hebrew words are ones that the children don't know, then they cannot self-correct. And what happens is that unfortunately we end up with frustration, low self-esteem, and yeah, absences, because it's hard to go to school, to go to an educational setting when you do not feel successful. But I and the others who are behind Onward Hebrew believe that there is another way. Rather than teaching print to sound, we can be teaching sound to print, which gives students plenty of opportunities to hear the sounds of Hebrew before being introduced to print. So what does this look like? It means that we can teach the sounds of Hebrew like the Shema, and then help students match the sounds they know to the printed word. Sometimes it's with whole word reading, sometimes it's phonetically. This photo happens to be of a class that has prayed the Shema for years, so they know it and can chant it. They just had a Hebrew through movement lesson on key words, and now they're matching the words that they understand with the print on the paper. So the teacher might say in Hebrew, point to the word Shema, and the kids use what they know of the sound of Shema and what they know with the whole word and what a shin is, and they point. It's making that that connection. And that then leads to helping students develop competency in decoding, matching the sounds in their heads with the print on the page, sound to print. Which brings us to you and your role. If you're teaching tefillah, there really are so many things you can do in your class to flip the learning from print to sound to print. And the rest of this series will give you the tools to make that happen. I do hope you'll enjoy what is to come.